I'm Josh Klein.
And I'm Elise Hu.
We host a podcast from Accenture called Built for Change.
Every part of every business is being reinvented right now. That means companies are facing brand new pressures to use fast evolving technologies and address shifting consumer expectations.
But with big changes come even bigger opportunities. We've talked with leaders from every corner of the business world to learn how they're harnessing change to totally reinvent their companies.
And how you can do it too.
Subscribe to Built for Change now so you don't miss an episode.
Today on CityCast Chicago, protecting South Shore residents from displacement who y'all thought won our alphabet dating game, and we're saying goodbye to summer 2023. Breaking it all down with me is lead producer Simone Alicea. It's Tuesday, September 19th. I'm Jacoby Cochran, and this is what Chicago's talking about. Morning, Simone. How was your weekend?
It was lovely, Jacoby. How was yours?
Overall, it was pretty solid. Watched some movies, took some naps, chilled in the crib, watched the Bears get smacked all over Tampa.
Woof.
So yeah, we don't need to focus too much on that. Let's just jump into the stories for the day. Over the last 2.5 years, you and I have talked a lot about development on the show, particularly their impact on communities across the South and West Sides. And one of the biggest Chicago developments going on right now is the Obama Presidential Center in South Shore, maybe 5 or 6 minutes away from where I live. This project has been in the works in some form for the last 8 years. And just last week, a new order introduced a measure to secure housing protections for South Shore residents. Simone, what are the details in this proposed ordinance?
Right. So this comes from 5th Ward Alderperson Desmond Yancey. Yancey was first elected back in April, right? So brand new alder. And this is modeled off of very similar to a housing preservation ordinance that passed for Woodlawn back in 2020. It's pretty sweeping, and there would be a lot of protections here. It would require, a certain percentage of new developments in the area to be reserved for households that earn less than 30% of the city's median income. It would require affordable housing developments on city-owned vacant lots. And it would also offer some other protections and grants, financial assistance to homeowners and property tax relief, home improvements. The other thing about it that I think is sort of the most interesting piece is it would also include several renters protections that would actually go into effect citywide. Some pretty interesting stuff. There would be, an office for a tenant's advocate office, right, where renters could go for help. These are the kinds of things that are could possibly be available to folks if this ordinance were to pass.
Very likely that if it moves forward, language will change, things will be added, will be removed, as we often see with ordinances that move through city council.
And like we saw with the Woodlawn ordinance when it did pass, right? When the Woodlawn ordinance was supposed to look more like this, right? With this sort of variety of protections. And in the end, what Woodlawn residents kind of ended up with was a lot more sort of more financial assistance programs and some measure of affordable development set aside in vacant lots, but not as many as they wanted. And so this one is a lot bigger. But that said, in South Shore, it could be argued that the need is even greater.
That's what I was thinking. We've had this conversation a few times. And interestingly enough, especially when we're talking about development around the Obama Presidential Center, the responses we get from listeners and readers is sometimes split. You have people who want us to talk more about these Obama CBA or community benefits agreement initiatives. And then you have other people who say, well, this is the type of development our neighborhoods have asked for. These are the type of projects that should come to South and West Side neighbors. And what this means as a tourist destination, as a site of a former president's library is huge for South Shore. But again, we have to remind people about, like what you just said, that need. In South Shore, I think 75% of the people who live in this neighborhood are renters, many of them making far less than the city's sort of median income. When you think about South Shore, since the Obama Presidential Center project was announced, you're starting to see at least a third of the homes in the neighborhood, if you look as recently as December 2022, being bought up by investors. So you see people being priced out of homes. You're seeing rent continue to rise over in South Shore. It also has the highest concentration of affordable housing voucher recipients in the entire city. And people have just asked more of the Obama Presidential Center from the Obama Foundation to put on paper ways that we're going to hire people from the community, put on paper ways we're going to provide resources, housing resources, small business resources for people in the community. And that's been so hard to secure.
And so that's what's sort of interesting about going this route, right? So early on, when the Obama Presidential Center was announced, when the location was announced, as you mentioned, neighbors really wanted this agreement with the foundation to say, you're going to hire this many people from this neighborhood. These are the protections you're going to put in place when rents inevitably go up or whatever. That's what a sort of a more traditional community benefits agreement is. It's the people who are developing in agreement with the community, right?
Exactly.
These, however, what we got in Woodlawn and what is being proposed here in South Shore, these are ordinances. These are laws that are being passed in the city, and in some ways, that is a little more powerful. The South Shore ordinance has some of these provisions that would go into effect not just in South Shore, but potentially citywide. And so, these ordinances have potentially far more reaching consequences for residents in these neighborhoods and for Chicagoans at large than even a more traditional community benefits agreement would have. That said, that also makes it much harder to pass.
That's what I was thinking as well. And it also makes me wonder, at least from a PR perspective, we've seen the Obama Foundation go through so many legal challenges to get this construction moving forward, go through so much scrutiny from the community. But it feels like it might have been a better move to work directly with the community to get a CBA on the books, because in some cases, it might have led to more community involvement, but it might not have held them to as sort of hard and fast the plans as this ordinance potentially can.
I think in a CBA too, right, it's then the developer's responsibility to make good on whatever that agreement is, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, possibly you have city involvement. The way we did an episode a while back, you should go and listen to it, sort of about how community benefits agreements come to be and the different types that you can find. But in this case, it becomes the city's responsibility, right, to make good on any of these promises. The other thing that's worth noting too, that I just think we can never quite lose sight of, is we have a really different city council than we had in 2020, right?
That's what I was thinking. I was like, between city council and the mayor, who have in many ways supported more CBAs, more housing protections, this becomes a huge challenge.
Or at least have said that they will support, right? We still, right? Mayor Johnson just elected in April, new city council members just seated. We're still seeing some of these big swings coming from these new alders, like Alderman Yancey, right? We'll be definitely interested to see how it goes. Jacoby, you mentioned that you live like 5 minutes away from the Presidential Center development. What's it look like? How's it looking?
I mean, it's definitely coming together. I'm no architecture expert, so I'm not sure exactly what part of the building they are working on at this point, but as we've reported, Cornell, a side street, has been completely closed. Lakeshore, going up Stony Island, has often been reduced to 1 or 2 lanes for both sides. It's really had a major impact on construction around Lakeshore Drive, around Hyde Park, Woodlawn, South Shore. But it does look like the construction is moving pretty quickly, given how many years we were wondering when the start-stop process will begin. I'm really going to be paying attention over the next couple of city council meetings. How does Brandon Johnson position himself next to this? Because on one hand, right, you have, former President Barack Obama and all of the resources that come with that, all of the endorsements, all of the fundraising friends, all of the things that a new mayor wants to ingratiate themselves to. And then on the other side, you got the people. right? I'm summing that up, but that just sort of borrowing from Brandon Johnson's rhetoric. You have the people of South Shore, the organizations that for the last 8 years have been very vocal about what they want for their community. They've gone as far as to get a measure on the ballot that asks, do South Shore residents want more housing protections? 90% of those people said, yes, we need more assistance. And so now when you're being pitted on one side against so much power, so much influence, and on the other side, the clearly stated demands of community members, I wonder how that progressive agenda and voice sort of balances the both sides of it.
Although on the flip side, it might be easier for Johnson to sort of make a decision to support this ordinance more full-throatedly because it's already under construction, right?
Mm-hmm.
They've already broken ground. The lawsuits have more or less been settled on this, the legal challenges. And it's set to open in 2025. And so we're also at a different point now in the presidential center's journey where it's here, it's happening. The closures have already happened. You're seeing the construction. And so it might be easier at that point to say, okay, well, yeah, this is fine. Of course, the city can create a tenants advocate office. Like, yeah, okay, we'll set aside, the dollar amounts might be different, but, sure, we'll set aside a percentage of vacant lots that will be set aside for affordable housing. Because again, at this point, that the center is often moving.
It's moving.
It's not going away.
I'm Josh Klein.
And I'm Elise Hu.
We host a podcast from Accenture called Built for Change.
Every part of every business is being reinvented right now. That means companies are facing brand new pressures to use fast evolving technologies and address shifting consumer expectations.
But with big changes come even bigger opportunities. We've talked with leaders from every corner of the business world to learn how they're harnessing change to totally reinvent their companies.
And how you can do it too.
Subscribe to Built for Change now so you don't miss an episode.
For the last couple of weeks, we have been competing with one another about who has the best alphabet dating ideas, where we took the first 6 letters of our name and we came up with 6 Chicago date ideas. I was able to beat marketing coordinator Jermaine Thomas. Newsletter editor Sydney Madden sort of gave our lead producer Simone over here the old 1-2. But that was just voted amongst the 4 of us. Obviously, we had to open this up to the largest CityCast Chicago, Hey Chicago audience. And y'all had y'all own thoughts. Simone, what did the people have to say?
Yeah, we talk about the people, right? This is what the people think. So we ran a poll. We ran a poll in the Hey Chicago newsletter, which you can subscribe to at chicago.citycast.fm. Definitely make sure you do that. And 2/3 of readers. So that was among the 4 of us. Readers got to choose which of the 4 of us they thought was the best. 2/3 said that Sydney won overall. 1/3.
I mean, they read Hey Chicago. Of course, they went with their 6 a.m. fearless leader.
And Jacoby, 1/3 said that you won overall, which, as we've discussed previously, turns out you can throw money at a problem.
Come on, man.
and just win. I will also say that we did get a text. Noah in Uptown texted us and said, to be honest, Simone won hands down in my book, for what it's worth. They said, I am honestly going to plan 5 out of 6 of those dates. And in proper Simone fashion, the only one I'm not going to do is because it's too far from my house. I knew I would be vindicated by at least one listener. I knew the spooky dates would get somebody.
Even people connected to some of those dates, if they knew somebody or they worked there, they reached out as well. People wanted us to come pull up on them and check them out.
Yeah, I mean, I think folks should definitely, we had 2 episodes on the alphabet dating. You should go back and listen. Jacoby, I think, won us all over with the Air Ancient Baths selection. I lost everybody on a series of very spooky dates.
Spooky,
I am going
quirky, off the beaten path, maybe not at Time Out or Choose Chicago's top 100 list, which, again, there's no shade to you. I'm just saying where you will not find these great suggestions, things like the Hot Clown Show and the Underground Rat Tour.
Yeah.
Which, You still standing by that, huh?
I'm going. I already bought my tickets to the Hot Clown Horror Show. It's specifically a Halloween show, and I'm going. It's also within walking distance from my apartment, so double the fun.
Of all of the things that the four of us said, what was the one that you wanted to do the most?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think, well, besides Air Ancient Babs, because that one was really good. I think the one that I would really want to do, and the one that I didn't think got enough love, was from marketing coordinator Jermaine Thomas, which was the Museum of Ice Cream downtown for the pictures. I feel like that was a highly underrated element of date night, which is like getting a pic and like having those pics for the future. And we're going to talk about this a little later. I feel like I don't have enough ice cream or frozen treats in my life in general. So I like that one a lot.
I'm thinking Drunk Shakespeare from Sydney. The idea of watching one person under protection, sort of under the guidelines of everyone looking out for them, watching one person get more progressively inebriated as the other cast is trying to get through the play is just a wild concept to me. And I kind of need to see it played out on stage. And I would like to see high Shakespeare. I want to see one person get progressively higher, smoking joints as they perform Othello or something. I just want to see where that goes by the end of it.
You can do that with Midsummer Night's Dream, I feel like. That'd be a good one.
That'd be a good one.
That'd be good for it. We also had listeners and readers suggest their own date ideas. Andrea G said, exploring one of our great neighborhoods, then dinner in that neighborhood, which I think is a classic. Irma A says, my perfect morning date in Chicago, Jacoby, you're going to like this one, starts with a local farmer's market, then biking, rollerblading by the lake, and ends with a lunch picnic along the lakeshore. So this is a morning to midday.
I love that both of these are sort of plug and pull. Is that what I'm thinking? Where you could just take this idea and just plug in any neighborhood.
Your favorite neighborhood, your favorite spot.
Exactly.
Yes,
your favorite lake spot, your favorite farmer's market, your favorite part of Lakeshore. Keep them coming. Keep telling us your favorite places to take your friends, your partners, your first dates. Let us know at 773-780-0246. And maybe the next time we run the alphabet dating game, you might hear some of your suggestions as well. Before we get up out of here, Simone, we have to, we got to give a shout out to someone who's been riding with us for the last few months, and that's Summer. Either by your definition, the return of school, end of Labor Day, or my definition, the calendar date of September 22nd. By the end of this week, summer, as we know it, will be gone, and we will officially be in the fall. And so, in addition to saying goodbye to things like, expanded time on the lake, or extra time at night, getting your sunset on post 7:30, those things are slowly but surely gone. We got to say some of the things we didn't get to do this summer that now we have to write off until, we get a good day in the fall, or we just push it off until summer 2024. Simone, what are the things you're going to miss this summer or you didn't get to do this summer?
God, there's so many things. I was so busy this summer. That's what was shocking to me. And there's still so many things I didn't get to do. I didn't get to go kayaking, which was on my list of things. I know you got to go earlier this year. Really wanted to kayak the river. I definitely didn't swim as much as I wanted. And I did not have as many frozen treats as I would have liked. Not nearly enough. I like, there's so much variety in the frozen treats in the city. I don't know if Chicagoans truly appreciate actually how you've got custard, you've got soft serve, you've got Italian ice, you've got ice cream rolls, you've got paletas, you've got there's so much variety.
No, we got everything. We started off the summer with Maya McDonald from Block Club Chicago, who had her expansive frozen treats list.
Yes.
And we were really really hopeful that we would get out to a bunch of places on that list.
I did not.
It did not happen.
I did not. I didn't
do it. It
did
not happen. I didn't go into a pool. I did the river kayaking, but that might have been in May at this point. It's been so long. I don't know if that was even technically summer. What else didn't I do this summer that I really wanted to do? I didn't hit nearly enough rooftops. We did a whole rooftop patio.
Yes, we did.
And
I didn't hit enough patios either, actually, to be honest.
Maybe one or two the whole summer. So all that talk I was giving about booking and you got to be ahead of time, you want to dress up, didn't even happen. I might have hit London House once or twice. And that was it. I was outside though. I will say that this summer I got outside. I enjoyed a lot of different things this summer. I just didn't get into no water or didn't get on no roofs.
It's wild how much happens in the city every single day. I mean, you and I are tasked with like looking at what's happening in the city and like trying to, help curate it for the podcast and the newsletter. It is overwhelming. And it's impossible. It's impossible to enjoy everything the city has to offer. I guess that's why summer comes back around, I guess, right? We get to do it again.
But this summer, the thing I'm proud of, I used my camera a little bit more than I had in the previous seasons. And those festival pictures I took, oh my God, Silver Room Block Party Pit. Oh my God, I killed it. My pictures look amazing this summer.
You got to drop the pics. Where do we see them? What?
You might be able to find them on my Instagram. I don't know. I still got to get better at that. I do not post the content I take. I just keep it to myself, which...
It's another good reason, actually. It's another good reason to subscribe to Hey Chicago, because very occasionally we've got some Jacoby Cochran originals hanging out. And so, again, chicago.citycast.fm. That was subtle, right? That was a good one.
That was a good one. I thought that was a fantastic transition. Let us know how you like this episode. Tell us about some date ideas. Please reach out to us at 773-780-0246 and follow Hey Chicago now. You can subscribe at chicago.citycast.fm. Another huge thank you to the one and only lead producer of CityCast, Simone Alisea. Thank you as always.
Hey, thanks, Jacoby.
Before I let you go, some good news. World Music Festival Chicago begins this Friday and runs 10 days through October. You can catch performances from over 30 different acts representing countries around the world at venues across the city, like Avondale Music Hall, Hyde Park's Promontory, and the Old Town School of Folk Music, to name a few. For the full schedule, check the show notes. As always, we appreciate you for listening. I'm back bright and early tomorrow morning. I'll talk to you then. Peace.